It must come as a surprise, even a shock to these inmates, this warm, loving reception at the Branchville Correctional Facility, a medium-security prison in Indiana. The volunteers greeting them are from the Kairos Prison Ministry, and this is the beginning of an intense 72-hour experience the ministry hopes will transform the lives of the inmates who signed up.
I came here because everybody says it's pretty awesome and you get to eat some pretty good food. So,
Branchville Superintendent or Warden Kathy Albee says good food is definitely a motivator in prison.
A lot of the guys will joke around that they're going to go to Kairos for the food that they bring in, and they bring truckloads of food. But you know, when they leave that weekend, they leave with more than a full belly. Their hearts are filled.
I cry every weekend, I do. You know, you couldn't imagine how much you get out of it.
Today, John Nuffer is one of the volunteers, but he was in Branchville on a drug charge when he first experienced a Kairos weekend.
You know, I had Christianity all wrong. I had a false stereotype of Christians, and I could never be one. I wasn't going to come to prison and be one, and I didn't want the jailhouse religion. I didn't have it on the streets. I wasn't going to have it here.
But he did get it here during a Kairos weekend. These are deeply personal, soul-searching affairs with one-on-one mentoring and group discussions about things like choices and friendship with God. Volunteers from local churches send uplifting messages from little kids, and for this weekend, 24,000 chocolate chip cookies. There are also services in the makeshift chapel punctuated with uplifting hymns.
We seek out the tough cases. Those are the guys we want. When God gets a hold of their heart and the wall starts to crumble, and it's like peeling back an onion, one layer at a time.
It's a journey that becomes more spiritual as it goes along, from one motivational speaker to the next. This is a very organized and scripted 72 hours. Kairos has been doing this for over 3 decades. Kairos operates in 35 states, 9 foreign countries, over 400 medium and maximum security prisons. The program only has 9 employees, but over 30,000 volunteers. It's the volunteers that make the program work, and volunteering for Kairos is not easy. John Bennett had a brother who died in prison. The retired welder has been volunteering for over 8 years.
We have to have 34 hours of training. We just don't come in. We're all trained and schooled in what to do.
We come together as a team of brothers. We don't just come as a bunch of guys who don't know each other. We build a love and bond between us. Now when we come up here, they see that in us. And then that gives them an opportunity and a hope for them to have that too.
David Leibel is with the Indiana Department of Corrections in charge of volunteers.
We get volunteers who otherwise might not have any contact with the criminal justice system, who come in, give up their days, their weekends to be with the prisoners. And even when they're quiet, it shouts, caring.
Michael Dyer is the state director of Kairos for Indiana, a volunteer himself who puts in many, many hours each year.
Usually 42 offenders for a full team. That's the maximum amount of offenders who can participate in a Kairos weekend. We generally have 44 to 48 team members who come in from the outside, so it's almost 1-to-1.
Kairos is a non-denominational ministry that preaches plenty of religion, though the parts about fire and brimstone are never mentioned. This is an upbeat experience. One of the most important goals here is to convince the inmates that they are loved.
Here we're a DOC number. I'm DOC number 984463. And that's what we are. We for the most part, we've been relegated from humans to numbers, to paperwork.
Dontel Keys is serving a sentence for murder. He says Kairos changed his life, so now he wants to change the lives of fellow inmates. This weekend, he's serving as a volunteer in the kitchen. He's scheduled to be released in 2 years.
We've done things in our life that we're regretful for, and to come to a Kairos weekend and just to feel the love and the passion that these men have for us, it's amazing. So you really just get caught up in that, just being loved, because a lot of us never have experienced that love.
Love also comes in the form of a sealed letter. Frank Rowe is with Kairos.
I call them love letters from God. Each volunteer writes a letter to every single participant.
We received our letters and got to open them and read them, and it was a pretty touching experience.
John Cox is in on a meth charge and was surprised to see his old street pal, Ed Morris, who also served time, now a volunteer, trying to get John to turn a new page.
John and I, we have a past of not so honest citizens kind of past. You know, we got involved into the drug scene pretty heavily for a while, and we've made some dope together before. We used to sell a lot of dope. We've seen the bad side of the life.
Branchville has about 1,450 inmates at any one time. Most are here on drug charges, though there are some serving out sentences for more violent crimes. Those here in solitary confinement are not feeling the love.
And we're praying for you.
So Kairos volunteers deliver bags of chocolate chip cookies and prayers to the segregation unit and throughout the prison.
God bless you, my friend.
Forgiveness is a big theme here, and that includes inmates especially forgiving themselves.
For me, when I went through that moment and I was asked to forgive everyone in my life, and including myself, it was the first time in nearly 20 years that I've shed a tear. I had to let it all go. You know, Kairos helped me do that, and it's just an amazing feeling.
Although there have been few studies, one in Florida found that in prisons where Kairos operates, recidivism has been cut to less than half the usual rate. Michael Dyer says there's another way to measure the ministry's impact.
Everyone I see involved in this ministry, whether they be a volunteer or an offender, this program and going through a Kairos program changes their life. And watching and witnessing that transformation is just incredible feeling that you can be a part of that.
Cedric Hancock is a retired Army veteran and 4 years a volunteer. He's mentoring William Spradley, sentenced to 10 years for selling meth.
I love you, and I'm glad we met, and all I can do is just thank the Lord.
I appreciate you leading me on the right path.
You want to give me some love? All right, now.
Love you, my brother.
Love you, bro.
Now Kairos will follow up back in prison with weekly and monthly prayer and share sessions to keep the love going and hopefully the men going straight. For Religion and Ethics News Weekly, I'm Lucky Severson at the Branchville Correctional Facility in Indiana.